Chapter 7. Around the World in 80 Days was a marvelously funny satire on good and evil in competition. Don't we wish that the same scenario in one's own reality could be as carefree and funny with all the pratfalls and hair-raising potentially dangerous scenes? You can rest assured that the observers of the play upon the stage of planet Earth are not laughing at the similar scenes as they pass through your manifested reality. Instead, they watch through detached wisdom, knowing that the ending will be a positive one, but with concern for how many awareness points shall move with the ascending transformation process and how many will be left behind to be shepherded through the process of another opportunity. It shall be a great relief to these when the Earth experience in this particular point of focus will have been completed. Just how it shall all come together has become of major interest, for indeed you have created your own grand and spectacular stage play. The storyline is quite unique, something like The Perils of Pauline of the Galaxy. It is noted that the terms of universe and galaxy are tossed about with abandon, and you find yourself puzzled in attempting to correlate these into a meaningful third-dimensional understanding. In truth, this is not quite possible, but we shall make an attempt at doing so. Galaxy refers to the flow of manifested reality around a center of focus. Universe refers to the focused intent of coagulation of energy that in your terminology lies behind and supports this manifested reality. There are universal laws that allow for the creation and maintenance of this galaxy. Since you are part of this galaxy, you have named Milky Way, then if you are to experience in harmony within it, you must live within these laws. In this case, you are like children playing, pin the tail on the donkey, for these laws have been withheld from you and you are left to discover them by trial and error. Right now, you are far into the error process. Is this how it has been ordained for you to learn them? Indeed not. The blindfold has been deliberately placed upon you and you have been fooled into thinking that you have no right to remove it. The blindfold is the game of deception in which you are enticed to look where the magician deliberately presents action for you to watch while he supports it with motions you do not perceive. Your attention is focused on what you think is the only action. Fortunately, not all the audience is fooled. They watch you and wonder why you do not see the process the magician uses. The fact is, they wonder why you are now at a stage where you only perceive his spotlighted action and do not even see the magician. You are so mesmerized that indeed the supporting motions to the actions are no longer even hidden. They proceed all around him on the stage and still you see none of them. How is this possible? By hypnotizing the conscious mind. Luckily, there is another part of the mind that is beyond this conscious thinking. Your psychologists call it your subconscious mind. They have painted it as holding your perception of life hostage because it is full of dark, horrible experiences perpetrated on you by well-meaning but abusive parents. As a result, you fear it and block it from participating in your experience of life. Why is the word life capitalized? Because that is the purpose of your experience on this planet. You are alive, that is aware of experiencing this life energy moving through you and played out on the screen of your observing ego mind. The ego, the devil of your existence, or so you have been led to believe. Anyone acting in a pushy manner is being egotistical. His ego has him by the necktie and is causing him to misbehave according to the imposed social norms. He is controlled by his evil subconscious acting out through his ego, and he must be brought down a peg and that awful ego humbled into compliance. The successful businessman is successful because his inflated ego runs amok over others and snatches success from the hands of the deserving underlings, etc., etc. Need I go on painting this picture of sleight of mind? What then is the true picture? If there is no ego, there will be no awareness of the manifested experience. The ego is your tape recorder. It is the observer of your thoughts, wants, needs and desires. It takes these thoughts in a type of robotic focused format, and this allows them to manifest into circumstances and situations that create your experience. It literally filters your thoughts, feelings, and desires and causes them to coalesce into manifested experience. It is a process, not an entity. It is a process over which you have complete control, if you can take charge of thoughts, feelings, and desires and actively direct them toward what you want to experience. These thoughts must be relatively depictive. For example, if you simply focus on change, then expect chaos within your life, for that will be the change you create until you decide upon some more precise idea of what you want in your experience. The process of how this works involves a universal law called attraction. Once an idea is formed with the positive understanding that it is possible, then the ego holds this picture and completes the process through positive/negative polarity energy. Through the action of the law of attraction and the malleable nature of the potential of an idea actually coming into your experience, it does. Since instant manifestation of ideas on this planet at the moment is very difficult, The ego incorporates the process within your supporting idea of time. If you are unable to remain focused on your desire of a certain experience, then oftentimes you deny yourself that desired experience. There is a comment in your Bible regarding praying amiss. Since that which you refer to as God is creative in nature, whenever you are focusing your desire in a sincere manner for an experience, then you are in constant prayer, for you are within this creative, expansive expression that originates within the source of your existence. But, what if you are asking for something that would cause problems for someone else? The law works. But, there is an effect for that which you have caused. As noted above, you are using the universal law of attraction, and its process involves like energy attracting more like energy. If you cause a problem for someone else as a purposeful use of this law, then what you create for someone else, you also will experience. It is like two sides of the same coin. One is presented to the other person and one is presented to you. If you are serious in attempting to understand this law, then if you dare, look at the events that you have already experienced, and you will see that this has been the case many times. When you have wished a blessing for someone else, you also experienced one, not in exactly the same way, but in something of meaning that came within your life. Consider also difficulties. I believe there is a reference in the Bible that instructs you to put a guard on your mouth, for the words, including thoughts, that come forth do not return to you empty. In utilizing this understanding, you must hold the desire steadily within your consciousness. If you err in desire by wishing to create a problem in the life of another, you have time early in the process in which to reconsider and to withdraw the focus of that intent. Then it will not manifest for them to experience. Emotion, strong feelings, can increase the potential of manifestation and hurry the process, whether it is for your own good experience or for another one. The opposite is also true. It is time for the entertainment portion of this purposefully written portion of the play, and the distraction of your attention from your purpose for being within this experience on planet Earth to end. Now you must decide whether to take back your power, remove the blindfold of your own volition, or wait until it's removed for you. The picture will be even more shocking if you wait, for you will be totally unprepared for the scene planned for you to view. There is little time remaining for you to make your decision. The glitzy world you are living within is an illusion. Behind its facade is another one that plays out a game of power that requires your total cooperation and the giving over of your creative power willingly by overwhelming your sense of possessing any personal power whatever. Example, but, what can one person do? Sound familiar? Answer, more than you can possibly imagine, but first you must realize that you have the power. Chapter 8. When the conditions of deterioration surround you, how can I comment that this is a glorious day? Indeed, it is, for those conditions are drawing to a close. The ending may contain many surprises. Your Armageddon will arrive, but it shall not be in a format that you have been told to expect. The forces of light and darkness shall not parry and thrust in a format of war, but nonetheless the situation will have moments of what might be called confrontation, but it will not be in a third-dimensional battle of armaments. This should be comforting, for the power of even those third-dimensional devices can destroy the planet. If indeed the Creator is a focus of love, then methods of destruction would not be possible. These are only possible within the distorted use of negative polarity energy. Within the two foci of positive/negative energy lies the center point of harmony. This is the goal of all manifested energy, to exist within this harmonious point. However, it has one disadvantage in that the still point existence would allow for no movement at all, thus it can be maintained for only a relatively short period. As a result, there is constant movement away from and returning to this ideal. Within the totality of the galaxy, there is a balance between portions of it moving away and toward this still point. This is seen in the movement of planets and what you perceive as the Mazzaroth or zodiac as they move in cycles around the center point of the galaxy. Within these revolving movements are many smaller cycles that you cannot observe. When a distortion occurs within one of the smaller cycles, it is allowed up to a certain point. When it reaches a point at which this distortion begins to affect larger cycles, then attention is focused to correct this distortion. This attention is now on planet Earth. Destruction would indeed affect other cycles. One planet in your solar system was destroyed. Balance was maintained with great difficulty, but the loss of another planet would cause chaos that would be far-reaching indeed. For this reason, a great deal of attention is now being paid to your situation. If it were not for the limiting factor of the free will of the inhabitants, balance could have been obtained long before this point. This emphasizes the importance of obtaining consent through deception of the inhabitants for the introduction of atomic destruction devices. Plans are afoot to create the very chaos that planetary destruction would bring. The stakes are very high indeed in this game of control. The plan behind this destruction is ambitious beyond your imagination. It involves the creation of a negative polarity universe/galaxy. To the perpetrators of this situation, you are not even small fry in the game. This is confrontational at the level of the creator of this universe/galaxy. Have we made this up? Indeed, we wish we could tell you that, but it is the usurping of your ability to make free will decisions as to whether to cooperate or not that is the small key to the success of their plan. This will allow you to understand the multiple levels of control that have been used and why your complete control, which of course is impossible, has been used as the manipulation behind your deception. Indeed, there are many levels of control of the people on your planet. Those who think they are in control and planning this scenario are just as controlled as their plan for you. As this plays out, there are elements within this situation that are going to be more surprised than your general populace. However, perhaps that surprise will be at a higher level than even that plan includes. What must be remembered in the greater perception of this is that all that exists, and that does mean all, does so out of the potentiality that underlays manifested creation. In following the layers of energy that coagulate into manifested realities in reverse order, the building blocks become finer and finer in vibrational quality until it reaches beyond what the Kabbalah calls Ein Sof or pure potentiality. In order to cause an entire galaxy to change polarities, it would be necessary to return to this point to cause such an event to happen. Needless to say, this is an extremely simplistic explanation, but should give you an understanding of the audacity of the idea and the relative chances for its success. However, the attempt to do this by working backwards through existing creation to accomplish this goal holds within it the possibility of a pattern of resulting chaos of no small proportion. Now to come upon the realization that your conscious consent had to be obtained in order to accomplish this should give you cause to take notice of your responsibility in all of this. Unless you wake up and change the path down which you are moving, there is great responsibility to be faced. Granted, you have been lulled into a zombie-like existence, but that has been your choice through lack of personal responsibility toward yourselves and your fellow man. At the end of this sojourn into life experience, you stand and recount your experience in the light of full understanding, and it is you who judge your own actions. No one judges you. You are then aware of what might have been had you lived your experience through extending the love that created you rather than in pursuit of distractions that gave you no real satisfaction. What now do you do at this pivotal point in your time? In the knowledge of this picture, which you are hardly able to acknowledge may even be a possibility, what can you do? First, you must contemplate this understanding and come to face it within your own conscious thinking process. You must consider it as possibly being true. Then you must admit to your unknowing complicity in the treatment of your fellow human beings on this planet. You must move through your regrets for having been unaware through a process of denial, for the existence of these situations was plainly presented to you by the magician. This use of your consent was by real conspirators with very large agendas to put into place. You cannot linger in the destructive guilt process. You must resolve to come into your personal responsibility to cause this situation to change from its intended path. You are expected to stop being a victim and certainly not to become a martyr, for there is no place to begin to resist this onslaught. You must vow and commit to become part of the solution. Then, despite the continued push of deceptive encroachment into your awareness, you must begin to discern what is truth. You must hold to your resolve to move through this to a new and greater understanding. When this becomes your greatest personal truth, then you will find opportunities to become part of a different movement employing methods that will not constitute physical resistance, but will use an entirely new approach. There is no other way open, for resistance on a physical level would be immediately snuffed out. Your constitution is no longer an effective shield and will be dissolved. But that matters not. It is in assuming personal responsibility that when one accepts the challenge and does not fade in fear, others also shall come forth in like awareness and consciousness. Together this spreading group awareness shall provide the pivotal point that will bring an end to this situation. The resolve to be part of the solution from the depths of personal consciousness is the key that will open the lock, and the imprisonment of humanity and bring true freedom to the inhabitants of this planet. Many are called, but few choose to respond. Where do you stand at this pivotal point? You must ask yourself and you must answer yourself. The question of who is the focusing energy of the messages is a difficult one to answer tactfully and yet completely. Isness is the focus to be sought by each individual awareness. As each expands within the process of self-identification, so does the ability to allow the flow of isness to move through their experience. Each will attract into their awareness knowledge to live into wisdom. The vibratory rate of the planetary environment and of the members of humanity on Earth is low enough that this ability is currently virtually inaccessible. to assist willing members of mankind to access the necessary information to provide a way to transcend this current aberrant state. Various volunteer awareness points within higher vibrational frequencies have acted as booster stations to focus this information through those willing to participate on the Earth plane. Knowing the custom of Earth's inhabitants requiring the personify to identify mode, names from the exotic to the ridiculous have been given as sources of this information. The information included exercise in discernment. Most participants failed the discernment tests. Much was filled with profound truth, but much of it was drained of energy by the continual parade of victims wanting their personal problems solved for them. The information became distorted as the foci were withdrawn and the volunteers winged it, faked it, on their own, for their sincerity was lost in the notoriety and greed that resulted. In view of this history, it was the mutual agreement between the parties involved in the dictation/translation/transcription process for these messages that the identities of the foci involved would remain undisclosed and there would be no monetary rewards whatsoever involved. Further, there would be no personal information disseminated for any one individual's benefit. The totality of the foci involved is for the benefit of the planet and its inhabitants, period. The truth of the messages is to be discerned and used for the benefit of humanity first and then gleaned by the individual to apply personally as part of the wholeness to which it is focused without the necessity of personal names to identify truth. If that is not understood, then the messages need to be read again to transcend this need into commitment to the holographic intention of the information they contain. It is hoped that the succinctness of this message is accepted in the tone of importance in which it is intended. The window of opportunity to accomplish the necessary monumental consciousness transition is small compared to the obstacles within the human belief systems that must be literally dissolved so that the whole may be transformed. It is sincerely hoped that the truth contained will be a sword that cuts through the armor of deception and lays open the hearts and minds of the necessary quotient for success.